Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. And hopefully your weekend goes well, is going well, went well, depending upon when you complete this homework, obviously. Normally, as you know, we don't like to give homework over the weekend, but this will give us a nice jump on this week's learning so that you guys are more than prepared for your quiz that is on Wednesday. Although it is a small quiz, it's still important to be super prepared. As you know, we want to keep those grades up. It's our last quiz of the quarter. So today we're going to be talking about simple interest. Simple interest is money earned on money you invest. So when you put money into a savings account or a checking account, that money, if it sits there, will earn interest. Very small amount of interest, but it'll earn some interest. So say you put $100 in and it earns 1% interest per year. A year from now, you're going to have $1 more than you started with. So that means your new total would be $101 in that bank account. People invest in the stock market because their money earns interest there. For instance, people have retirement accounts where they put money in now and it earns interest. So by the time they're ready to retire, they have far more money than they started with. So interest is an additional amount of money being added to your account. Typically, it's being added per year, per month, per day, depending upon the situation, but it will be very obvious to you. So let's mark up our first problem here. It says Michael deposits $2,000 in his savings account at the bank. The savings account has an interest rate of 5.5% each year. Well, our first question says, how much money will Mike have in his account after 1 year? Okay, so he starts with $2,000. That will be our whole. Our percent is 5.5%, and we don't know our part. So our part will be X. In 1 year, his account will earn 5.5% interest. So that means we have X over 2,000 equals 5.5 over 100. From here, we are going to cross multiply, and then we are going to get 2,000 times 5.5, which gives us 11,000, and 100 times X gives us 100X. To get the X by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 100. And that means that X equals 110. This represents the amount of interest earned. So in 1 year, he'll have his initial money, plus interest money, which means he'll have his $2,000 plus his $110 from interest to give them a total of $2,110. So Michael will have $2,110 in 1 year. Boom. Done. See how that's the same as you've been doing with percents? You've been doing the same thing, calculating it for a year. But now question 2 says, well, okay, if you know how much you'll have in 1 year, how much will Michael have in 6 years? What can we do here? Do you think that the 2,110 is going to be multiplied by 6 to give us a whopping grand total of 2,110 times 6 of 12,000? Do you think that makes sense? If he's gaining 5.5% interest per year, he jumps from 2,000 to 12,000? Doesn't that seem a little unreasonable? Sure does. So let's talk about it. If he's earning 5.5% each year, that means that he's earning All right, we're going to pause this. Hold on. So in 6 years, that means he'll be earning the interest of 110 6 times. He'll be earning 110 in year 1, 110 in year 2, and so on and so forth. So we can take our interest and multiply it by our years. And this gives us our total interest. So we have 110 times 6 gives us $660. This is our total interest earned over 6 years. Over 6 years. So to answer the question, how much money will Michael have in his account in 6 years? Well, he'll have the same as before. His initial plus the interest. So it'll be $2,000 plus our $660, which gives us $2,660. So our target statement would be Michael will have $2,660 in 6 years. See how we're taking your percents and we're just expanding them a little bit. So now we're doing our normal percent work to get our interest, multiplying that by how many years we are acquiring this interest over, and then adding it to our initial. Let's give another one a try. Kelsey takes out a loan for $6,000. That's important. $6,000 to start a business after high school. The bank charges her an 8% interest for the loan. After 5 years, how much interest will be added to the loan? Now, this particular question, is it asking us for the total loan or just the interest? Okay, it's asking us for just the interest. So let's find that first. We know that our whole is our $6,000, which is the amount we borrowed. Our percent is just our 8%. And we don't know our part. So we have x over 6,000 equals 8 over 100. From here, we'll cross multiply. And we will get, for 8 times 6,000, 48,000 equals 100x. To get the x by itself, we will divide both sides by 100, leaving us with x equaling 480. Now, what does this represent? I'm glad you asked. This represents the interest earned in 1 year. But are we interested in the interest earned in 1 year, or are we interested in more years? Hopefully you said, hey, we're interested in 5 years. So to figure out our 5 years, we're going to take our interest in 1 year and multiply it by 5. So we have our amount of money for 5 years. Now 480 times 5 gives us 2,400. All right, this is our interest after 5 years. So have we answered the question? Well, we sure have. Interest will be added onto the loan. There will be $2,400 added to the loan in interest. Now we're going to add in a fancy little statement about what the new total is for the loan. The new loan total would be what? What do you think? What two numbers do we need to add together? Hopefully you said our initial amount of $6,000 plus our interest amount of 5 years, which is $2,400, to give us a grand total of $8,400. And that came from $6,000 plus $2,400. Final answer. All right, let's do our next one. Jesse invests $3,345 in the stock market. Over the 3 years, her investment earns a return of 7.8%. How much will her investment be worth after 3 years? So we're looking just for the interest amount or the initial plus the interest? Hopefully you know it's the initial plus the interest. Now that means that this is our whole, this is our percent. We don't worry about the 3 years yet. So we have x over 3,345 set equal to 7.8 over 100. From here, we are going to cross multiply so that we get an answer of, 334 times 7.8. 26,091 is equal to 100x. We will then divide both sides by 100 to get the x by itself, which gives us 260.91. Now, what does this represent? Hopefully you said this, it represents interest in 1 year. But do we need 1 year or do we need 3 years? So hopefully you said we need 3 years and know that we need to take our 260.91 and multiply it by 3, which gives us $782.73. This is our total interest. Is it asking just for the interest or the total worth? It's asking for the total worth. So we need to take our initial investment and add our interest to get the total worth of $4,127.73. So Jesse's investment will be worth $4,127.73 in 3 years. Now, another thing you need to know is this hole right here has another word you might see. You might see principal as the whole. So principal and whole are one and the same. What I'd like for you guys to do now is I'd like for you to try numbers 4 and 5. Pause the video, give it a shot, and then I'll put the answers up. 3.5 simple interest in the same account. You deposit that much. How much interest will you earn in 2 years? X over 7,500 equals 3.5 over 100. Cross multiply and you get 3.5 times 7,500 is 26,250. And then cross multiply here, you get 100x. Divide both sides by 100 to get x by itself, and you get x equal to $262.50. That's for 1 year. So now we need to take that amount and multiply it by 2. So 262.5 times 2 gives us $525 in 2 years. So you will earn $525 in interest in 2 years. So that's not the total amount in your bank account. That's just how much extra interest you'll have. So extra money you'll have just from having your money sit in that account. Number 5. You are starting a carpet cleaning business. You borrow $5,500 to purchase equipment and supplies. If the loan has a 4% daily interest rate, they charge a lot. That is a lot of money. Daily is huge. How much must they repay at the end of a 90-day period? Well, let's find out how much interest they have to pay in 1 day. So that means we have our whole and our percent. So we have x over 5,500 is equal to 14 over 100. And we cross multiply. So we get 5,500 times 14 gives us 77,000 equals 100x. Divide both sides by 100 to get that x by itself, and you get x equal to $770 in one day. That's a huge amount of money. So in 90 days, we need to take our 770 and times it by 90. So we need 770 times 90 gives us a total amount of money, you're never going to believe it, of $69,300. So at the end of a 90-day period, they're paying $69,300 plus their initial loan amount of $5,500. So we have $69,300 plus $5,500 of I did that math wrong. $69,300 plus $5,500 gives us $74,800. So what do you guys think? In your best interest to pay this loan off fast? So they must repay $74,800 at the end of a 90-day period, which is huge. These guys definitely want to pay this loan off quick because that is not worth it. 14% is humongous. All right, hopefully you did well. See you on Monday.